Hi, my name's Kev Popper and today we're talking about caring for elderly parents. Caring for elderly parents can be a very difficult phase of life for both parties. For the adult child, it can mean taking on a whole new level of responsibility, finding time in our kind of almost always busy lives to help support our parents and potentially have some very, very difficult conversations. For the person being cared for, it can be quite a painful role reversal. Can you imagine that you've looked after your children all of their lives and you've helped support them, and now all of a sudden they're saying to you, look, Mum, Dad, I think you need some support and this is what I need to do for you. So if that conversation's had in the wrong way, it could potentially cause some real arguments in the family. So navigating this phase of life can be very difficult. So I've got 4 key tips for you. The first one is to make a plan. That means you need to think about who you need to involve in conversations. So, do you need to be involving siblings? Do you need to be involving other relatives? Do you need to be involving solicitors? And how are you then going to have that conversation with your parents as well? You also need to think about how you're going to manage this care over the next 2, 5, 10 years, because the level of care and support that someone can need over those phases is going to be very, very difficult. You also need to be thinking about doing some research. Now, obviously being here, watching this blog is a great start. You can go and talk to other people who have been in a similar situation. There's lots of information available on the internet about different care services that are available to you. My second key tip is very, very obvious. It's communicate. So you want to be communicating lots and communicating early. I talked with a friend recently about kind of who needs to be involved in these conversations, and the one thing that always gets missed out is actually involving the person that is receiving the care. It's so important to communicate with them. So we've been through this situation as a family very recently, and the best thing that my parents and his siblings did was to actually involve my grandma in those decisions. So you need to be communicating with everyone in the family what the plan is over the next 2, 5, 10 years. And it's really important that you're actually communicating as time goes on as well. So when my gran is staying with my uncle, he'll always send us pictures about what he's doing with my gran on that day, or how she's feeling and what she's thinking about where she'd like to go and stay next. And it's really important to keep that channel of communication really open so everyone knows what's going on. The easiest way of communicating within a family is to use technology. So most families, like ours, have a family WhatsApp group, and we use our WhatsApp group to communicate exactly what it is that we're doing with our gran, where she's staying, why she's staying there. And also it's really important that we share some of the positive stories as well. So my cousin will quite often post pictures of the food that she's had with my gran, or some of the favourite memories of that day, or where they went on that day. And it's really important that we don't all just see this as a burden. We kind of use it to share some of those positive stories as well. My third key tip is one that always gets missed. It's all about looking after yourself. I'm going to be talking about a concept called carer creep in one of my later videos, but essentially it is all about that the amount of care and support that you may provide for a family member or a parent essentially keeps creeping up and up and up. And before you realise it, you're a full-time carer. It's really important to be looking after yourself in this situation. So a lot of that comes from essentially sharing some of what is seen as a burden with other family members or siblings. It's ensuring that you're also staying healthy, the really basic things like you're still exercising, you're still eating healthy. I often get really concerned about people calling me when they say, look, I haven't left my mum alone for a weekend for kind of 2, 3 years, so I really need a bit of a break now, because at that point, it's almost a little bit too late. You've already crept into being a full-time caregiver. So it's really important to really look after yourself. And a lot of that comes from points 1 and 2, which is communicating and planning. My fourth key tip is really thinking about what external support is available to you. So external support in the ways of neighbours potentially, befriending services, clubs. We were talking earlier about drawing clubs and maybe like bowls clubs and things like that. What was it that your parents really enjoyed doing, and how can you get them involved in those clubs and things like that? Really often there's transport available, but if there's not transport available, there's taxis available, there's other people, there's younger members of the family who'd be more than happy, I'm sure, to drop Nan and Grandad to an event or something like that. It's also really important at this point to start thinking about other services that may be required in, say, 2, 5, 10 years. So care at home services, potentially researching what care homes locally are good. All of this is really, really important to helping you plan and think about where you're going to be in a few years' time. So in summary, if you are in this phase of life, then feel free to comment below and let me know what you're struggling with, and I'll do everything I can to help.